Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
Welcome and
Hey guys, wake up video. Link to the original video from Useful Charts, great channel. Top of the description. Below that, link to the Discord. Love to have you. Let's go. Princess Diana, Winston Churchill family tree. I had no idea they were related.
Hi, my name is Jack Rackham, and today I'm going to show you the Spencer-Churchill family tree. This is a very old family, and although you might not know of anyone named Spencer Churchill, there are two very famous Brits I'm willing to bet you're familiar with that are part of this tree: Sir Winston Churchill and Princess Diana. You wouldn't know it judging by their names, but they actually belong to the same noble dynasty.
Do it.
The reason for the naming convention...
I have 4 really good posters from Useful Charts. I still have to put... I need to do a new background. I'm going to put those up there and maybe put a partial green screen for when I want to do that stuff. Let's go.
The reason for the naming convention that obscures the relationship between these two individuals is a little peculiar. The Spencer family and the Churchill family were originally separate houses, but although they later became one family, their descendants continued to use 2 separate names. Both families trace their roots back to the English Civil War, so let us begin there with the Churchills. Sir Winston Churchill, the namesake of the famous Prime Minister, was a fervent royalist who fought for the monarchy during the English Civil War. Well, after the monarchy was restored, and then later James II became king, Winston became an MP, or Member of Parliament, and was later knighted. His son John became an important general who served under 5 different British monarchs. He helped James II come to the throne by putting down the Monmouth Rebellion, but then turned around and deposed James II by supporting William and Mary during the Glorious Revolution. But he didn't get along with the new king, and William had him locked up after his name appeared on a letter supporting the restoration of James II, though that letter later turned out to be false, and eventually his reputation and position in the military were restored. During the reign of
Wait, the letter didn't exist or it was fake to get him in trouble?
Queen Anne, he fought in the War of Spanish position in the military were restored. During the reign of Queen Anne, he fought in the War of Spanish Succession and won a number of victories for which he was named the Duke of Marlborough. So I guess you could say he was the original Marlborough man.
I was going to say, is that where Marlboro, the cigarettes, get their name?
So well that he was even given a principality within the Holy Roman Empire. Beyond that, he did so well that he was even given a principality within the Holy Roman Empire, but alas, it was later annexed by Bavaria, so the rest of the family would never be princes. One more interesting note, his wife Sarah was also a very close confidant to the Queen, and in fact she was recently portrayed on the silver screen in 2018's The Favourite. John had no sons who lived to adulthood, so his titles were passed to his eldest daughter, Henrietta, who became the 2nd Duke. She too had no sons who lived to adulthood, so the title was passed through her younger sister to her nephew, Charles Spencer. The Spencers had also fought on the royalist side of the Civil War, which is how Henry Spencer became the 1st Earl of Sunderland, though he would die in battle a few months later. His grandson, Charles Spencer, 3rd Earl of Sunderland, held many other important titles, including 3 of the 5 great offices of state, which all still exist today in some form or another. He was first named Lord Privy Seal, the keeper of the monarch's private seal, a position now bestowed upon the leader of the House of Lords. He was then made Lord President of the Council, who presides over meetings and is now a position held by the leader of the House of Commons, and finally he became Lord High Treasurer, a position now held by the Prime Minister. So he had a lot on his plate. He married Anne Churchill, and they had 3 sons and 1 daughter. Their daughter was Lady Diana Spencer, and she became the namesake for the future Princess of Wales. Their eldest son, Robert, succeeded his father as the 4th Earl of Sunderland, but he died without any heirs, and so he passed his title to his next eldest brother, Charles, who also became the 3rd Duke of Marlborough. It's at this point that the family once again splits into 2 branches, with Charles' younger brother John beginning the other branch, which we'll get to later. Charles became Lord Privy Seal and fought in the 7 Years' War. His son George also became Lord Privy Seal, and then we come to his
Cool seal right there.
son George and the first instance of the name Spencer Churchill, since he wanted to highlight his connection to the famous 1st Duke. Likewise, he also combined the 2 families' crests into a single coat of arms. George, his son George, and his son John Winston all went on to become MPs, and then the line splits again. The ducal line continues this way, with a few more Johns and Georges and Charleses. The current Duke is named Charles James, a name that sounds backwards to one vaguely in touch with YouTube drama such as I, but he once had quite a lot of drama.
Wait, sorry to go a little bit ahead, but why are there 2 Randolph Churchills?
Of his vaguely in touch with YouTube is named Charles James, a name that sounds backwards to one vaguely in touch with YouTube drama such as I, but he once had quite a lot of drama of his own. Prior to becoming Duke, Charles James was sent to prison twice, first for forging prescriptions and second for a road rage incident. Another interesting fact, after his father divorced his mother, he married the ex-wife of Aristotle Onassis, the shipping magnate who later married Jackie Kennedy. So while they share no blood connection, you can connect JFK to this family through a daisy chain of marriages. The more famous branch is over here. The 7th Duke's younger son Randolph changed his name to simply Churchill, even though, patrilineally speaking, he and all his descendants, even the Winston Churchill, are technically Spencers. This Winston married an American woman named
American? I had no idea. Wait. Churchill's half American.
Jenny Jerome. They had a son named Winston Churchill, later Sir Winston Churchill, who became probably the UK's most famous Prime Minister of all time due to his service in the Second World War. Winston Churchill had only...
Actually, calling him half American is like, that's an ethnicity. Never mind.
one
It's still cool, right?
Due to his service in the Second World War. Winston Churchill had only one son, named Randolph, who had only one son, named Winston. Both...
I'm so stupid. I thought, for some reason, I thought these were the brothers, and they're vertical.
served in Parliament. The younger Winston's oldest son, named Randolph, is now the most senior male descendant of the famous PM. Alright, now let's turn our attention to the Spencers. The first Earl Spencer was the grandson of Anne Churchill and Charles Spencer. He became an MP, as did his son George, who also became Home Secretary in charge of domestic affairs, and also an MP was George's son John. John served as the Chancellor of the Exchequer, which is another way of saying the second Lord of the Treasury. This person is junior to the Prime Minister, but often takes on a lot of financial tasks on their behalf, which means, by this point, it was actually the Earl Spencers who held higher positions of power than the Dukes of Marlborough, and in fact, they would continue to become closer and closer to the royal family. The 4th Earl Spencer, Frederick, fought in the Napoleonic Wars and served in the Navy for much of his life, eventually becoming Vice Admiral just a few months before he died. He also became Lord Chamberlain of the Household and Lord Steward of the Household. In short, he was the person who worked directly with the royal family to manage their personal home, arrange formal events, and to act as a liaison between the royals and Parliament. The 5th Earl, John, was also known as the Red Earl due to his long red beard. He served twice as Lord Lieutenant of Ireland, the island's top governor before the partition, and then as Lord President of the Council, a cabinet position supervising the monarch's closest advisors. John had no children, and so the next Earl Spencer was his half-brother Charles. Like his father, the fourth Earl, he became Lord Chamberlain of the household. The seventh Earl served in the First World War, and his wife Cynthia was a close companion to the royal family. She was the personal attendant to the Queen Mother, that is, the mother of Queen Elizabeth II, for 35 years from 1937 to 1972. The eighth Earl...
Guys, sorry I'm not... Well, maybe it's good. I'm not really talking a lot. It's just that I have no information to give, and I'm really just learning here. So I feel like I'm not really transforming the video at all, but what can I do? You know, I'm not gonna like talk for the sake of it.
Also fought in a world war, landing on the beaches of Normandy the day after D-Day. He held the interesting position of equerry to both King George VI and Queen Elizabeth II. Historically, this meant the person who managed the stables of some member of nobility, though...
It's like he stormed the beaches. Oh, wow. The day after D-Day. Oh. Not that it's also good. It's just that
More recently, it refers to a personal attendant, or assistant, or secretary. Now, he had a daughter who became quite famous indeed, so I won't go into too much detail on what you may already know. Princess Diana married Prince Charles in 1981. She was 20, he was 32. Diana gave birth to Princes William and Harry, but the marriage was unhappy. Charles had been in love with a woman named Camilla Shand, but she was deemed an unsuitable partner for the crown prince, at least at the time. As his marriage with Diana broke down, he had an affair with Camilla, while Diana had an affair with the family's former writing instructor. And when these affairs came to light, the two got a divorce. But Princess Diana is known mostly for three things. For one, she was an 80s style icon, but she did a lot of charity work, most notably to combat HIV/AIDS. She worked directly with AIDS patients and attempted to destigmatize the disease by emphasizing that it was perfectly safe to be around or give a hug to someone with HIV/AIDS. The final thing she's remembered for, she died in a car crash in 1997 while being chased by photographers, which has led to lots of conspiracy theories. She has two older sisters, Sarah and Jane. Sarah was the one who introduced Diana and Charles, having dated Charles before her sister, and Jane is married to Robert Fellows, a first cousin to Ronald Ferguson, father of the Duchess of York known as Fergie. Diana also had a younger brother named John, who became the 9th Earl Spencer in '92. He has been married 3 times, first to South African model Victoria Lockwood, with whom he had 3 daughters and 1 son, who is set to become the 10th Earl. Before I go, I want to point out one more interesting connection to the Spencer family. If you go back up to the 4th Earl, you can see he married a woman named Adelaide Seymour. Well, she is the distant descendant of Henry Fitzroy. Fitzroy, as you might remember from previous videos, means son of the king, and is a name given to illegitimate sons. In this case, his father was the steward.
So things like Fitzgerald, the last name, it means son of Gerald. Trippy.
King Charles II. So since Diana was a descendant of Charles II and her son William is in line for the throne after his father, William will be the first Stuart-descended king since 1701. However, he is an illegitimate descendant and not even the most senior person in that line, so this isn't a case of the Jacobites having their way after all these years. Okay, that's all from me. If you're interested in all things related to royal families, we, of course, have other videos, but today I want to recommend another channel. Lindsay Holiday creates lots of videos on royal history, both past and present, and her most recent video is about the future monarchs of Europe. I'll leave a link to that on screen now, or you can find it in the description. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for making. It felt utterly useless. Usually I have so many great points to make in videos, guys, okay? You guys know. I was a little lackluster there, but very interesting. I had no idea that Churchill and Spence and, you know, Princess Diana and Winston Churchill were related at all. So that was really cool just learning about that. Really interesting. Great channel. Great video as always. Hope you guys are doing well. I'll see you next time. Bye.